In the last session today, we're going to be dealing with pitching, and not just hearing some pitches, but in a moment, we're going to hear some advice from a pitch coach. Then we are going to hear from investors, the side of the equation that we don't often hear in a pitching context. And then we are going to look at some of the best pitchers from various different pitching programs who have earned the right to be up here on the main stage. So as I said, our first speaker, his name is Denski, and he is a professional public speaking coach, so a man after my heart, certainly something I am very interested in as well. And he's going to be talking about getting your story straight, learning to tell your business story. He's a public speaking coach. He has a lot of great things to say. Please welcome to the stage, Denski.
Well, hey everybody, my name's Denski, and well, as mentioned before, I am a professional public speaker, have a little bit of background in that, but I'm also the brand manager at Weekdone. And today I wanted to take some time to tell you guys a story. And no, I'm not going to give you the story of how you can turn your business from 0 to hero in a night. That's impossible. And no, I'm not going to tell you about how the secret to boosting your productivity is cocaine. You laugh, but that was the technique in the 80s. But I'm actually going to tell you the story of Weekdone, how we learned to tell our story, and the lessons we learned along the way. Now, going back, I've actually been in Estonia for about 5 years now, and I started working at Weekdone about 3 years ago. I was originally in the sales team, and after a series of mysterious incidences, I worked my way up to brand manager. And with that, I was given a task to fix our messaging and better express our brand. Now, when I looked at that, I was like, oh, this won't be too much of a challenging task. All I have to do is ask around, read some of our old documents, update a few things, and check our competitors. But actually, it ended up being a lot more than that. As I began talking to our different teams, I noticed that no one had any idea on how to actually describe our product. Basically, if I would ask someone from the sales team, they would give me one story, while marketing would give another. If I went up to product team, they would actually just start stuttering and panic and run away. So I realized that we actually had a lot more work to do than I initially thought. So I had to think of a way to fix our messaging that hadn't been really reevaluated for a long time. And now I'm actually doing my PhD as well. I study semiotics, and while my specific topic is the perception of cuteness, one of the things we actually learn in semiotics as a whole is the idea of storytelling and narrative. Now, storytelling and narrative, as I'm sure you've heard today, are kind of a business buzzword, where everyone goes, oh, you need to start doing storytelling, or oh, the narrative is important. But no one ever really actually says what it is. Now, to take you all back to your high school English classes, we'll go over a really basic lesson. So a story, in its simplest form, is a series of connected events with some meaning behind it. Now, the difference between a story and a narrative is a personal take on it, or the perspective behind it. So for every story, you can have multiple narratives. So take, for example, Game of Thrones. While it's telling the one story of everything going on in the universe, each narrative of Jon Snow or Arya add to the story and give you a different path along the way. Now, the two basic parts of a story are characters, and you also have your plot. Now, these two are very important for learning to tell your business story. And as you think about them, you might wonder, oh, what exactly do these have to do with business and how do they fit into my flow? Well, they're incredibly important. First, your plot is actually really heavily related to your customer journey and customer flow. When you're reevaluating the traditional stories of what a plot looks like, a lot of times you get examples of Cinderella, where, oh, she starts as just a poor girl, then a magical fairy comes saves her, you have the rising action. Then she goes to the ball, you have your climax. And from there, as the story goes on, you have your resolution. Those different stages of the story actually coincide with your product journey and the user flow. So that initial beginning stage where you're just Cinderella cleaning up dirt, well, that is actually your awareness stage as you get to action when people either get your product or sign up or are interested in what you have to say. Well, there you have your climax of the story. You have your aha moment. And as they begin using and figuring things out, they have their resolution and they get to the final points of it. So within Week Done, we originally had approached things not from the perspective of a story and how you learn it along the way, but actually we were rather just giving simple facts of what we are. While this may have been a product manager's dream, it's not how the average person thinks. A lot of times we view things in the realm of a story. Now, when you look at your characters, oftentimes businesses think, especially startups, that, oh, we're the hero, we're gonna come into their world, we're gonna change things up, we're gonna save the world, fix everything, and be a hero to these people. But the problem is, in the story, your business isn't the hero. The person using your product, the person interested in you, they're the main character of the story. They're the ones who have to go out in a journey and experience the world. Unless your product is people give you money and you go save the world, then you're not necessarily the hero, and you need to reevaluate that. As we actually began to approach that, we took the role of talking to our customers. I know, terrifying, right? But actually, in hearing that, we had learned that people viewed us more as the person who is a fairy godmother helping them out, a personal secretary or an assistant, while we originally thought we were superheroes. We literally used superhero marketing for the long time, where we explained how we were Professor Xavier and we were collecting a unique team of office mutants to help revitalize your workforce. But that actually wasn't the case. People were interested in a story and a plot and characters that related to them in their daily life and helped them solve their problems. So I think that's the really important thing to get out of it. As you look at how your business is, you look at yourself as a story, focusing on the plot and the characters you have is incredibly important. The different narratives are the different customer journeys you have along the way, and creating a plot line for each of them is so incredibly important. And now, as you begin looking at your role, how your startup functions, you might need to take a step back. While the theme of this event might be from zero to hero, you sometimes have to remember that it's not all about you all the time, but it's actually about getting your customers and the people you care about from zero to hero. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Jason? I thought it's such a good perspective to put on it, that it's the customer that is the hero of the story. We think that we're the heroes. We make the company. We do the things. Of course, we're amazing. But no, the customer, why, if they read a story where the product is a hero, why do they care? They don't care about the product. They care about themselves, as we mostly do. And to see it from their perspective, I think, and to write that, I think it was very insightful and very nice comparison with Game of Thrones. There's many different plot lines, but they all contribute to the one thing. And can you write that story from the customer's perspective, from support's perspective, from product owner perspective in the company, and then how do they all intertwine? And I think that process might actually help a lot of these people get it.
Exactly, and it's a very important thing to realize this process isn't just an overnight thing. For example, it takes George R.R. Martin a suspiciously long amount of time to actually write his stories and write his books. So you should view the same thing within your business. As you get your startup going, it might actually take a bit of time to get your story together. But once you have it all together, you can have your Game of Thrones, you can have your success that way.
It's a good comparison with George R.R. Martin, because that guy takes 1,000,000 years, and we're all terminally worried about his health. Will he actually get the story out? Which then begs the question, what heuristics can you use to judge how long should I be working on my story? When should I know this?
Yeah, well, again, in the startup world, things happen so fast, so, as soon as possible. But actually, once you're able to fill the answers to those, who are your characters, what is your plot line, and what narratives you're trying to tell, then you can actually get into it. So really just sitting down, hammering those through, and once you have the fragments of a story, you can actually go into it and really invest from there. So it's important to take those steps back, view it in the parts, and then put the whole together as you go.
Okay. Do you recommend that if you are a young startup, maybe the stereotype is, hey, we're not super outgoing, we're a bunch of gamers like the last guy, Martin, maybe we're all not crazy extroverts. Should they look to outside help? I mean, can they kind of put some bits and then get a content writer or some of those nuts and bolts of the really low-level process of that?
Yeah, so the main challenge is if you're not used to telling stories, definitely getting someone who has a background in storytelling to help bring out your inner story is very important. Oftentimes, even if you're not so outgoing or a little bit shy, you do have a unique story to tell. Oftentimes, there is the stereotype that, oh, hey, all the outgoing people have all of the stories. They're just the ones telling their stories. Even if you're shy and a bit awkward, oftentimes you have a lot to go off of. And sometimes getting that storyteller to help work with you can actually bring out the unique story that your business has and that you have as a person that you're just not bringing to the surface yet.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much, Jason.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
There is a bag. I left it. But
Okay, I'll go get a bag there.
Yeah, you'll get that one there. All right. So obviously something that I'm very connected with, telling stories, trying to communicate, trying to be a better and speak more better to all the people. One of the things that I really like when I'm helping companies with their pitches is a technique that I've been using recently is to start on the shortest pitch possible, usually 3 minutes, but even 1 minute. And I've started to come from the 1 minute perspective because it's the shortest possible thing, that you have the most economy of words. We need to edit that down and edit and edit and edit. And I found it easier to build up from 1 minute than to say start with 7 and work down. And one of the reasons I really liked working on 1 minute pitches is because to me it's very much like writing stand-up. You've got to cut down your words. Every single word you need to look, why do I need that word? Why is that word there? And then maybe that is a good word to have, but maybe I need to move it to the end of the sentence. Maybe I need to switch those words around. Maybe and we have kind of really long discussions about when does the person or the listener get to the aha moment, to the, oh, I understand moment. And often there's a bit of a balance there, a dichotomy between I want to say what my thing is, but I also need to set it up. Maybe you need some exposition. Maybe you need some descriptions, or maybe you need to paint the story, as Jason was saying. And that can be a really tricky balance because you want to do a setup and tell them about it, but you also need to cut to the chase and tell them exactly what it is as fast as possible. And one small little tip that we've been using recently is to say it as fast as possible, but then go back to the story. So, okay, what is your one line that says what your company is? Even if it sounds out of context, bam, say it straight away. Give them something firm right up. And then, okay, then give the background and why the product, why the need, and so forth. And even though it sounds a little bit counterintuitive, what it does is give the listener's mind something very firm to grab onto at the beginning, and then you can tell some more backstory. If you tell the backstory first, it's a bit like, oh, they're telling me this story. Maybe is it this? Are they this? What is their thing? Is it that thing? And the mind wanders too much. So Lewis's tip, go concrete as quickly as you can in your pitch so the brain isn't left wandering from your listeners. All right, education session over from Lewis. I like this next session because this is called reverse pitching, inverse pitching, reverse pitching, something like this. That the first step is we are having pitches from investors, from VCs, from angel firms, and so forth. So we are going to turn through these as quickly as we can. They're all 3 minutes. Maybe there's a question at the end. I'll try to ask a question, but we're going to keep it moving just like we would with any company doing pitches. So let us do it and let us get underway. Our first pitch, reverse pitch, comes from partner Butterfly VC. Please welcome Juho Ristkul. Sorry, Ristkul. I'm sorry, I messed it up. You better go for it, Juho. Let's go.
Hi. It's been maybe 10 years since I've been on a stage pitching on my own startup, so let's see how it goes. My name is Juho Risku. I'm one of the partners of Butterfly Ventures, and everybody needs an angle. Ours is deep tech and hardware. I believe that we are the leading deep tech and hardware-focused seed stage VC in the Nordics, which means that we invest in the difficult stuff that most of the other VCs shy off from. And we do it early on. Most of the companies that invest in are pre-revenue at the state of investment. At the moment, we have about 30 million under management. We have a bit over 50 portfolio companies and investing at 10 new companies a year. Like in every startup, the team is a crucial part of the game. Same applies to us. There's four partners with diverse complementing backgrounds. I'm the serial entrepreneur. Butterfly is the fourth company I've involved as a founder. Matti, our CEO, is our management professional. He's been, for example, a CEO of a listed software company. Tanya, our US enforcement, has a investment banking background, and Ville has plenty of legal and M&A background. For example, he's been working for a US law firm that did lots of IPOs of Israeli startups to the New York Stock Exchange. So, why us? The first part is kind of obvious. We are one of the very few that do it on the seed stage and deep tech and hardware. But we've been also fairly successful doing it. For example, Nava just closed their 2 million crowdfunding round and is now preparing for the IPO. And the KNL Network's A round in 2016 was one of the largest ones in Nordics on 2016, and 9 million. But most important of all, it's the collaboration. So ask the founders, and in our case, I can be happy to say that they frequently refer other entrepreneurs, their colleagues, to us. So I guess that's one of the strengths of being an entrepreneur yourself, that you actually have seen the things from the entrepreneurial side of the world. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Juho, what is the number one thing that you don't like about being an investor?
The fact that I have to say no to so many great ideas, really. I mean, quite a few of the things that I see are pretty good, or even extremely good, but you just can't do so many of those that you cannot say yes to everyone, even you'd like to.
That is very true. Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Juho. All right, next reverse pitch coming from the Startup Wise Guys. Please welcome Cristobal Alonso. All right. It's got the fan club.
Yeah, enough employees in the room and portfolio. That always helps you. Hi, my name is Cristobal Alonso. I'm the CEO of Startup Wise Guys. They call me El Patron. We heard a lot this morning about you need to have a mission. We have to have a long-term view. So we've always been here to help founders become entrepreneurs and to build large tech companies. In fact, we want our startups entrepreneurs to be the role models of the future. That's why we get up in the morning. If we do that, we'll be here for a long time. We started in 2012 in Estonia, but we're getting much bigger. There is more than 8 nationalities in the team, and as you might see, red is brand and energy. If I was told the other day, just say one number. And I have to say, if there is one number we're very proud of, we have a 77% survival rate. Our companies are alive 18 months after the accelerator, 8 out of 10 of them. That's a much higher than anything you can find in the market. Why? What is special? Well, there's some examples here. Beetlefields exited in 2016. Rebel Room, 200,000 MRR without any investment but ours. And two local heroes, I would say, from Tartu. Factory.co and SmartVent, really doing well. You saw them today. There's a reason for that. What are we looking for? Well, you always look for the same things, right? A large market and some unique differentiation on the product. But with early stage, what we're looking for is good teams. Teams that we can coach, teams that are balanced on the skills, and teams that have what it takes. It's a long journey. Better be a good team. That's our core, how we select those teams. If we do that, what do they get? A proven accelerator, focus not only on PowerPoint. Let's get to the product. Let's get to the tech, okay? Let's go full-time. There's no part-time shit here. We commit, you commit. And at the end of the day, hopefully you notice, high-energy culture, no bullshit culture. It's straightforward. No, great job, mate. No, terrible job, mate. Let's work together to make it better. That's how we do it. You do that, you get sales traction. We help you to get funding. You get a team that at least is ready to scale, because it is not easy, but it's much colder outside than in Wise Guys. We invest initially up to 30,000 euros, plus the program for 9%, but we can follow up to $250,000 going forward. But first, you need to be with us in the accelerator. 3 things to remember. The largest investor, more than 125 investments, 77% survival rate, the program works. And you will never work alone. We focus on people. You might actually fail, but we'll be there with you long term. We just launched our first program on cybersecurity and defense AI. Will be done in the spring, 1 month to apply. So you're in that space, please do so. And also, we have our traditional SaaS batch for the first time in Vilnius. We're going to be the only accelerator with Vilnius, Riga, and Tallinn. 1 month apply, don't wait. So call to action, apply now. And if you want to see what we're capable of doing, I think you need to look at these guys tomorrow on the stage. Thank you very much. My name was Cristobal Alonso, Startup Wise Guys.
Thank you, Cristobal. All right. One question. It's the same question, but you can't give the fluffy answer that Juho gave. Oh, it's too hard to say no to everyone. Oh.
You will never get a
No,
fluffy
tell us
answer.
really.
Come on.
No bullshit. What is the hardest thing about being an investor then?
The hardest thing, to say no to follow-ups.
I said you can't say no.
That was the same thing they said? I didn't
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
that.
no, you weren't listening.
Ah, fuck. No, we were
You
not
can't-
allowed.
it's not
we
like,
were,
oh,
no, we're
yeah.
not allowed to listen. The
Yeah.
hardest thing, admit that we made mistakes.
Okay.
We have teams applying before sometimes they come, and there is people. And the other hardest thing, that sometimes we don't get the teams that we choose from because they say no to our conditions or to go somewhere else. And when you have worked 3 months to recruit a team, it's really hard to. You don't get them, but they don't get us also either sometimes. So
That's very interesting. They don't get you sometimes as
Yeah,
well.
well,
It's
that's
got to be
part
a
of the
match.
game.
All right. Thank you very much,
thanks
sir.
to you.
Thanks. All right, we have 3 more reverse pitches to come on. Our next gentleman comes from J12 Ventures. Please welcome to the stage Emmett King.
Hello. Yes, I'm Emmett King from J12 Ventures. We are a Stockholm-based fund focused on very early stage, everything from pre-seed through to seed and pre-series A. So we look for companies that are kind of at a very initial signs of traction kind of phase. Mostly been focused on the Swedish market up to now, but now looking to expand across Nordics and Baltics in the areas that we cover. And we operate really with a model that we see to be kind of a hybrid between being a fund and a network of close working angels together. So what does that mean, and why do we do that? Well, essentially, we think that we found a structure and an approach and a way of working that really keeps the founders in mind and identifies and recognizes kind of the common problems that founders face as they're looking to grow a company from very early on. So if we take a real example, this is a company called Formulate who work with a B2B SaaS solution to help retailers optimize pricing and promotional strategies. And this looks a little bit like the journey that they might go on. So very early on, it's very beneficial to get a really strong understanding of a market, understand pricing and sales strategies, get those first customer leads, pilot customers that can really help things to take off, but very quickly needing more generalist kind of support on how to grow an organization, how to really get a go-to-market strategy going, sales organization, funnel management, and so forth. And we see here, vertical expertise, industry networks are very valuable. Further capital, experience of growing and building companies over and over again, very useful. If you have to separate those two into kind of angels and funds, then you have a period of re-raising, you can slow the growth. If you can bring the two together, which is what we aim to do, then we can marry the best of what hands-on specialist angels can offer to companies with what we as a dedicated management team can bring. That's why we make it a core part of our operational activities to maintain this group of 25 angels who are all entrepreneurs, experienced investors, industry specialists, with whom we share all cases that we're looking at with the aim that we will co-invest as many of our initial investments with them and thus be able to offer founders an extension of our team in the way of a network of angels. We've made 8 investments so far. We're pretty industry agnostic. The red thread is that we look for large opportunities, highly scalable potential, strong founder market fit, and that we can really work with founders in taking their initial go-to-market efforts into scalable sales. So far, it looks to be working well. We've invested many times pre-revenue, many times very early revenues, but our companies are all growing, all raising further funding, and we see that this model allows us to offer greater resources to companies in an early stage than the traditional fund model tends to. As a founding partner team, we've got experience ourselves of starting companies, working together, exiting companies. We feel like a startup in the way that we work, and we're essentially the best of both worlds, being a fund and angel hybrid. Let me know if you'd like to meet or ask any questions afterwards.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, new question.
Yes.
What's the number one thing that pisses you off about the VC investing, let's say, ecosystem?
Investors.
What about investors then?
I think a lot of investors are very bad at giving good direct feedback, and I don't think that's useful to investors or to companies. So I think a lot of investors will deliver the slow maybe or not give a direct rationality behind. Investors will be happy to collect pitch decks for a long time to just stay in touch, but I think investors should be pushed a lot from companies and founders to give better feedback and to give better clarity onto the process that they work with.
Okay, that makes sense. Very good.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emmett. All right, 2 more to go. Our next speaker coming from United Angels VC. Please welcome Jerry Kodres.
Hello, I'm Gary Godres. I'm the founder and partner of United Angels VC. We are a year-old early phase venture capital fund based in Estonia, but our founders' background, 3 founders' background has been in entrepreneurship, and also during the last 5-6 years we have been among the most active business angels in Estonia. Now for the last 1 year working with the fund. So we invest 16 million in companies with the main focus to Estonia, but also we have got some companies in Scandinavia and in neighboring Baltic countries. Then we usually start from the seed round, and then we follow it up until the A, but also in a number of cases we have done pre-seed rounds and also some angel rounds. And correspondingly also the ticket size is corresponding the round. So due to our own backgrounds as entrepreneurs, then these are the segments that we mostly focus on. So these are the segments where we can provide the most value and help actively to mentor and assist the entrepreneurs. So what are our strengths? Why we are a good company? We are fast and lean. So we make decisions fast. We don't drag our feet. And by lean, what I mean is that we don't overflood you with unnecessary bureaucratic requirements. So we are relatively laid back in that regard. So on the second point also, it comes because of our background as angel investors. So we are founder friendly. We almost never screw the founders, and also we don't want to put in the points that are unfair to you. Then many entrepreneurs tell that they have got investors who want to participate but who don't want to lead the round. So basically we also are ready to lead the rounds, and we have done it in around half of the cases, I think, of our portfolio. And also, we are very hands-on. We have a tailored approach. I come back to the last point later on. So here are the three founders of our fund: Riivo, Anton, Indrek Kasela, and me. So we are all actively involved. We all are hands-on with helping the early phase companies. Here is our portfolio. 8 investments from there are done with our fund. The rest of them, altogether around 25, have been done early as an angels. We have exited 3 companies: SmartAd, Vital Fields, and Teleport. And I'm not ashamed to say that we have got a good eye on picking a good company. This was from a radio show Restart. They do annual quiz from the investors of which are the companies where they would have wanted to invest, and out of top 6, we are investors in 5 of them. And then also as a fun fact, I checked that from Estonian Mafia Wall of Fame in Lift 99 in Tallinn, we are almost half of the companies in this wall. We are either investors or have been related to in different ways. So we are happy to talk to you. We are happy to meet you and either talk to me directly or any of the other partners or email to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay, I got 3 minutes to think up questions about these ones. What do you think is the main difficulty, or like what point of the attitude of a startup, maybe the founder, then they're coming to you? What's like the one attitude adjustment that they could make that you see, and sometimes you're like, I don't like that. Is there something that stands out for you?
If I think about the most successful companies where we have invested to, I think one thing that has characterized the founders has been that they have been very enthusiastic. Okay. So if they come to meet with you in the beginning, maybe you are skeptical, you don't know about their business exactly, but their enthusiasm wins you over. Okay. And that has been what I see from experience.
How do you then, okay, here's what I find, especially with Estonian people, they're trying to be outgoing, they're trying to do the best they can, and they're not quite sure where the mark is. They're not quite sure, am I under or am I over? And I just very often see like, too much, like fuck off, all right, like that kind of level. Is there some tips that you've got about how to know when you're too forthright, when you're too proactive?
Maybe since I'm Estonian myself, I've got the guts feeling about this. I know, I can understand what is natural and what is not. Yeah. And of course, you try to find the genuine enthusiasm and passion from these people. I believe it's a guts feeling. At least in my case, it's guts feeling.
It's a very good answer. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more round of applause for Jerry. Thank you. Boom. I like this. It's like fast money on some game show or something. Next one. Our last reverse pitch. This lady comes from Balderton. And please welcome to the stage Magda Lukaszewicz.
Thank you. Great. Really nice to be here. As mentioned, I'm Magda. I'm a part of the investment team at Balderton. I mainly focus on Northern and Southern and Eastern Europe. I'm born and raised in Sweden, but have Polish parents, studied in Denmark, and now I live in London. So I think I'm a typical European moving around. A few words about Balderton. We are a leading Series A investor in Europe. We focus on technology firms. We've been investing in Europe for almost 20 years. We're founded as a part of as Benchmark Europe, where we have quite a lot of our culture, such as equal partnership. So if you get one of us, you get all of us. We've invested 2.7 billion so far in Europe, dollars. And we have supported more than 100 startups and have around a little bit more than 85 startups in our portfolio. And last year, they altogether had revenues of more than 3 billion. So yeah, that's quite a bit. We are quite diverse in our investments. We, in terms of geography and verticals, as long as it's technology and Europe, that's something that is interesting for us. But what all the startups have in common is that they are changing and transforming the respective industries. And just before I get thrown out of the stage, I mean, to all the entrepreneurs here today that are like pitching, trying, failing, succeeding, you have all our respect, and we very strongly believe in Europe, and we think that the next European giant will be a technology company. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Good. Yes. Lewis is here. Don't worry about nothing.
Are you leaving me on stage?
Just to see how you go. It's another test, because I know investors love to give you a little test now and again, don't they?
Sorry for my voice. I have a massive cold.
No, not at all. Tell me, what's the one thing that annoys you about other investors?
Oh no, we don't do that.
Come on, you don't have to.
No, we actually like other investors. I mean, we cooperate with them a lot.
All right, we love all the people here.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very
But
much.
most of all, we love the entrepreneurs.
Okay, there's love all around. All
Yeah.
right, no worries. Thank you very much. One more round of applause for Magda. Thank you.
you.